There's so much to discuss here, and I'm really excited to get into some of the more fascinating elements of restorative yoga. But I think we need to start by setting a baseline for our discussion. When we talk about restorative yoga, what are we talking about? What is it? Well, the name says it all. Restorative meaning to recuperate and replenish, and yoga meaning union. So, restorative yoga is a practice that helps the body integrate and heal. There are a few things that need to take place in order for the body to truly heal. Science has shown that rest and relaxation are key elements to healing. As a professional dancer all my life, I have pushed my body to the maximum, and I know how to push the pedal to the floor and go. But I also know that to do that well and be at the top of my game, I had to learn how to stop and let my muscles and my body recover. And actually, there are very specific processes that take place in the body to help us rest and relax. Restorative yoga encourages the body to activate these processes, which we call the calm cascade. The harmonization of the calm cascade is what makes restorative yoga so special. The system of yoga that we use here encourages well-being for the body, mind, and spirit. It really is a gift. It is a quiet practice that harnesses the power of stillness, emphasizes physical and psychological support and comfort.
Signature to restorative yoga is the nuanced use of yoga props, such as bolsters, blocks, and blankets, to support, anchor, and contain the body. The intention is to promote the deepest level of relaxation and alleviate the effects of stress in our lives. Restorative yoga differs from other forms of yoga in that the goal of restorative is not to stretch or strengthen muscles, but to tap into the body's natural resources to establish self-regulation and homeostasis, or equilibrium. The world is a busy place, and restorative yoga gives us a chance to catch our breath. We do this in each individual pose in restorative yoga, and we stay in the poses for a longer time to give us a chance to put the busyness down. We'll be in a pose anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes and stay on the ground, which is literally very grounding. We aren't actively engaging our muscles in the poses, so props become a really essential part of keeping our body stable.
Restorative yoga poses are easily adaptable with props and designed to meet the student where they are. This makes restorative suitable for everyone, regardless of their yoga experience and life stage. It's really a holistic, preventative, and curative practice. It helps the body in all sorts of ways. In restorative yoga, slow is fast and less is more. In this lesson, we're going to review the origins of restorative yoga. We'll talk about some modern influences as well. Yoga has been around for over 1,000 years, and over the past several decades, we've seen all sorts of formats branch off from traditional hatha yoga. Restorative is certainly one of those styles that has been developed more recently, so it's good to understand where it came from and why people thought that there was a need for restorative yoga as a separate practice. BKS Iyengar is one of the most influential yogis in history. He developed his own style of yoga, which we call Iyengar, but he also pioneered restorative yoga, also known as rest and digest. When he was young, Iyengar was sick a lot of the time. That childhood experience really shaped the rest of his life. He set out to find new ways that yoga could heal. He wanted to see how yoga could support people who were sick or injured or just struggling. He experimented with scraps of wood, ropes, and other ordinary household objects, transforming them into versatile and user-friendly props. Today, we use these props in nearly every yoga class, but it all started with Iyengar wrapping a little bit of rope around his feet or stacking a couple of scraps of wood together.
Judith Hanson Lassiter studied with Iyengar and eventually became one of his senior teachers. Judith was instrumental in expanding and developing the teachers of restorative yoga in the West. During restorative yoga, we're actively trying to relax the body. Judith is the one that coined the phrase active relaxation to describe the practice, and it really is a great way to understand what's going on.
Many yoga teachers have embraced the practice and continue to evolve and adapt it for modern times. Two people who have had a more recent impact on this practice are Matthew Sanford and Bessel van der Kolk. Matthew Sanford is a yoga teacher who is also a person living with disability, and Bessel van der Kolk is a psychologist and trauma expert. Both prescribe yoga sandbags placed on the body to provide grounding and calm.
Current research recognizes restorative yoga as a powerful remedy that can be used to manage stress and improve overall health. The National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health officially categorizes yoga as a form of complementary and alternative medicine. We're continually learning more about how yoga impacts the body, but the mechanisms in place in restorative yoga have been understood for years. I'm referring to mechanisms like the relaxation response or regulation of the sympathetic nervous system. These are some of the elements that make up the calm cascade.
Let's talk a bit more in depth about the origins and modern influences of restorative yoga. As we said, Judith Lassiter popularized restorative yoga in the West after studying with B.K.S. Iyengar in India. It's interesting to think that restorative yoga was born out of Iyengar's experience as a sickly child who found healing through yoga. This naturally led him to be interested in the ways that yoga could help others. When he met students who were injured or ill, he got busy inventing ways that could open up the practice for them. He would grab a piece of wood or some cloth for padding and literally adapted poses using these makeshift props to make them accessible for people. There were all sorts of ways that these props helped him do more with his students. For example, if somebody was struggling with mobility, he used these props to give them the experience of stability and feel the benefit of a back bend without them having to do the pose. He also used props to help beginner and regular students with alignment, believing that when the body is properly aligned, you breathe better.
This is fascinating, and he watched what happened when he adapted poses. For example, he could see how adapting a pose impacted the breath and how the practice would kickstart active relaxation. Restorative yoga invited people to truly relax, and that was the key to healing. Judith Lassiter wrote her first book about restorative yoga after her twin brother died unexpectedly. Slowing down and getting comfortable with herself and her emotions really helped her get through it. In a way, that's different from the reprieve we feel from movement. During a cardio workout, like a run or a bike ride, we will release endorphins. And these can help us feel good, but after the spike, we are still dealing with our sadness. Restorative yoga can include gentle stretching, which also releases endorphins and serotonin, another hormone that helps us feel safe and happy. And it gives us space and time to get to the heart of the matter, to get to the bottom of our sadness or anger or anxiety and relax with it, befriend it and transform it. To heal, we need relaxation. We need rest. Judith Lassiter built on her own experience to support people with injuries and other issues. And nowadays, restorative yoga has become a balm for people in a much broader context. Grief is a very strong emotion. And I found that when I was dealing with grief, I wanted to do restorative yoga and move. So the gentle restorative stretching really worked for me.
That urge to move, especially out of pain and suffering, is intense. It is said that the yoga asana practice developed because the yogis could not sit still to meditate and had to find strategies that helped them feel comfortable enough in their body and mind first. So then they could commit to a seated meditation practice. It's totally relatable. You know the way people say, I'll go to the gym once I feel a bit fitter, or I'll go to therapy once I figure this stuff out. Or, I will start a meditation practice once my mind is calmer. But you can start your restorative practice anytime. Looking for a way out of suffering is still driving yogis to do embodied research to this day. Matthew Sanford is a pioneer of adaptive yoga for people with disabilities, and Bessel van der Kolk is doing work with placing gentle weights on the body to provide a sense of safety and calming sensation for people who have experienced trauma. Iyengar used weighted sandbags to anchor and ground students in poses. So we have a case of everything old is new again.
One thing to emphasize again here is that restorative yoga is for everyone. It is a delicious thing to do simply to pamper, celebrate, and lift your spirits. Yoga has been on a long and incredible journey to arrive where it is today, and has given us restorative yoga, which is a beautiful practice of healing, recovery, renewal, and restoration. Let's dig into this amazing practice in a bit more detail. We'll see you in the next video.